Fall camp is underway in Tuscaloosa. We're going to dive into what happened in day one and what we're looking forward to learning about this Alabama football team here in just a minute. That is Jake Thomas. I am Stacy Blackwood. We are Tide Talk Live, back and better than ever here, powered by the Believe Network. Fall camp is here, Jake. Man, I can't wait to talk about it. To me, football season is back. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, Stacy, and very excited. I got to see some of the excerpts that you put on this channel right here of a camp today, and got to watch a little bit of it, man. But I'm excited. It just means that we're what 1 month away from football nearly. So let's go. I'm excited and I'm ready because this just feels like the year that Alabama can put it all together and win a national championship.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. We'll talk more about that throughout the show tonight. If you are new to the channel, please do like, share, and subscribe. We're trying and chasing after 3,000 subs before the start of the football season, which is August 30th at 2:30 against Florida State. So help us reach that goal. I mentioned earlier, we are powered by the Believe Network. So you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just wherever you find your podcast, you can find Tide Talk Live there as well. Jake, there's so much to kind of take from day one, and on the other hand, there's not much you can take from it either. So, but you did get to hear from Coach DeBoer. You did get to see some practice footage. Just before we kind of talk about all that, I do want what's something you're hoping to learn, whether it's week one or just in general as fall camp is now underway.
Uh, I really want to learn. We know the top three receivers. I want to find out who that fourth guy is going to be. It's going to be Jalen Hale. It's going to be Cole Adams. Both of them have played. Both of them, had devastating injuries last year that ended their season. So, who is going to step up and be that fourth guy? Because a lot of attention is going to be on Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton. So, who's going to be that fourth option for Ty Simpson for maybe a check down or a guy that if the other three are covered, that can be a safety blanket for Ty Simpson moving forward. So I'm anxious to see who's going to be that fourth wide receiver to step up and be that guy.
Yeah, and I think a name to watch and a name that really started to make a lot of buzz throughout the summer is Rico Scott, a guy who, we actually saw against Michigan, a guy who really started to make noise as Alabama was preparing for Michigan. And I think that kind of continued. He's put on some weight since he arrived on campus last year. He has great speed. So Rico Scott's the guy I'm looking at, possibly as that fourth option, but it could be a guy like Jalen Hill. What does Lazier Brooks bring to the
Yeah.
table? Where does he fit into the fold in terms of the wide receiver rotation? So that is absolutely a very interesting thing to follow outside of those top three guys and Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, and Zay Horton. Because I'm like you, I think those three guys are pretty much set in stone. You don't want to
Yep.
say set in stone, but for lack of a better term, I think those top three guys are who we all are assuming they're going to be. And that fourth
Right.
spot is going to be really interesting to look at. Uh, I like that too. I'm looking at the offensive line, Jake, because we talk about Kaden Proctor is the guy at left tackle. You know what you have in him. You have Parker Brailsford at center. You know
Mhm.
what you have in him. You have Jaden Roberts at right guard. You know what you have in him.
Yeah.
But then you have the spot at left guard and the spot at right tackle. We feel like left guard's either going to be Vandermark or Cam Dewberry, the Texas
Mhm.
A&M transfer, and right tackle's most likely going to be Wilkin Formby. And while
Mhm.
I have confidence in all those guys, just kind of seeing what the offensive line looks like and what pieces are going to fit where as fall camp, kind of goes on.
Yeah, I agree, Stacy. You know what you got with the top three guys that you talked about. And who's going to step up in that left guard and right tackle spots to solidify that in fall camp and get ready for week one. It feels like last year we had some up and downs at right tackle. Of course, there's a lot of inexperience there. So a lot of turnover and a lot of guys pushing for playing time. I feel like we need to solidify somebody and just focus on that guy getting his play reps at right tackle. So that's one thing I'm interested in as well.
Yeah, and some of the reports indicated that the first team, at least during the viewing period for the media, the first team offensive line was from left to right: Kaden Proctor, Gino Vandermark, Parker Brailsford, Jaden Roberts, and Wilkin Formby. So nothing real surprising there. I think the biggest battle is really at left guard because I'm pretty confident that Formby is going to be the right tackle.
Yeah.
To me, the biggest question mark on that offensive line is left guard. Is it going to be Vandermark? Is it going to be Dewberry? And the truth is, I think they're probably 1A, 1B right now, and it wouldn't shock me if that's the case when Alabama rolls into Tallahassee in week 1. This could be a battle we see, go into the season simply because, look, maybe one guy practices well one week and the other
The
guy
other one does.
the next week, and
Mhm.
you don't really know what you have until the bullets are flying and you're in a live in-game action. So that could be a battle we see, that goes into the actual season. But the offensive line is obviously going to be something we monitor throughout fall camp and a focal point of this team. And I think if this offensive line can prove to be consistent and do a good job this year, this offense can be extremely special with what they have at the skill position, like you mentioned, with what the wide receivers, what we believe Ty Simpson can be at quarterback, and also what Alabama has in the backfield as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Stacey. It's all lining up to be a great year. Just all hinges on the offensive line gelling together and being what they could be. And I really feel like this offensive line can be one of the best we've had in a while, especially with the leadership with Kaden Proctor and Brailsford and Jaden Roberts there.
Yeah. So we've talked about a couple things we're hoping to see on the opposite side of the ball. Is there anything else, whether it's defensively, special teams, that you're kind of anxious to follow along throughout fall camp?
One thing that I saw that Kevin DeBoer made mention was, the punting, the whole special teams punting wise is wide open. So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up. I'm not really sure who we have as punters right now, but we lost our long snapper, the punter, and James Burnett is probably one of the best we've had since J.K. Scott.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really is going to be missed. So getting those guys, whoever it is, gelled and get them, some reps with each other is going to be critical moving forward.
Yeah, that's huge. And I was going to mention the special teams units,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're pretty confident in what they have in a place kicker and Connor Talty.
Right.
I think long snapper is, it's one of those positions you don't think it's important until you have a bad snap.
Yeah.
So it's obviously important for this team to get that right. I feel confident the coaching staff will find that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as punter goes, I think it's either going to be I think it's Blake Dowd who transferred in, and then obviously we brought in freshman Alex Asparuhoff from California, who missed the spring because of an injury, but is back and he's practicing right now. So I think that's going to be the battle at punter, and we'll kind of see what happens there. But you mentioned how important it is to have a punter and what a weapon it was to have somebody like James Burnett who could flip the field and just change field position for you. And if you go back, I just thought about this because I saw it the other day on Twitter. I don't know if anybody remembers it or not, but in the college football playoff semifinal game against Michigan, Alabama was half a yard away because of a punt by James Burnett for causing a safety for Michigan.
Yep.
Because he boomed a punt over the head of a Michigan guy who had to run his tail off to catch up with it and barely caught it in time to get out of the end zone and not have a safety. So having a weapon at punter is huge. And you don't have to be a James Burnett, but you have to be consistent at the punter position. You can't be constantly giving the other team good field position. So what Alabama does as far as the specialists this fall is something to keep up with as well throughout fall camp.
Yeah, clap of thunder. Sorry about that.
But defensively, Jake, to me the thing I'm looking at right now is what some of these younger players, how they fit into I look at Dijon Lee, and my gosh, that dude, he doesn't look real, first of all. I think I tweeted out the other day that I think, we might need to talk more seriously if he's actually an alien or not.
Yeah.
I mean, because he does not look human, man.
No.
He is an incredible physical specimen. How does he fit in the cornerback rotation with Zabian Brown, Damani Jackson, Cam Calhoun? What does that look like? I think about a guy like Justin Hill, who's also just a physical freak
Hmm.
as at that wolf position. But so is Quay Russaw. You still have guys like
Yeah.
Noah Carter.
Hmm.
So I don't know, man. I think just some of those young guys could turn out to be better than what we're even anticipating. So I'm going to be I'm anxious to kind of see how they continue to develop throughout fall camp as well.
Yeah, you're right, Stacey. And one guy we have mentioned previously as well is Jeremiah Beeman, how he shapes up, because I really feel like he's going to see a lot of playing time this year. You saw a little bit what he could do against Michigan last year, but I think he's primed to have a big season this year.
Yeah, he's a
Hmm.
potential breakout candidate for sure
Yep.
for this Alabama defense. So, Jake, as we kind of shift gears just a little, I know you had a chance to catch Coach DeBoer's press conference following practice. I did as well. What is something that you took away from his press conference?
The very first thing that he mentioned was the physicality, the mentality, and just playing every snap as through practice and like it's game one. So having that mentality from the very first day of fall camp, pretty much to the very first week of the season. You got to keep that mentality. You got to keep that edge about you, because even though it is just fall camp and just you're trying to fill the team out and see who's going to be put where, and who's going to be behind and be second on the depth chart. But you got to have that mentality throughout practice, leading up into the game, and then especially when you get in the game, continue having that mentality, because you cannot take breaks in the SEC. Because every team has a chance to beat you each and every week. So you have to bring that same mindset into practice and carry it all through the week, and then into the game.
Yeah, and I think, so I think last year was a great learning opportunity for Coach DeBoer and his staff. And not that he didn't take things seriously, but it's just different here in
It
the
is.
SEC. It really is. And you don't understand it until you're in it. And,
Mm-hmm.
so he just had now he has a greater understanding of that. And I don't know if it's just me but it seems more like now this Alabama program is Kalen DeBoer's program.
Right.
Like, last year it still felt like it was kinda Coach Saban's program. It just
Yep.
kinda felt weird, it was off, it was different, and I we shoulda expected that with it being the transition from the greatest coach of all time to Kalen DeBoer, but right now it just feels more like Kalen DeBoer's program. He's putting his stamp on the team and on the program and building his own culture and what he wants this team to look like, so it feels more like Kalen DeBoer's team and program. And so that has to be a confidence boost to the coaching staff, to the players, and I think the fans should think so as well.
Yep.
And one thing to me that really stood out, and you had to really be paying attention to catch it, is he was asked about the quarterbacks. Obviously, that's going to be something he's asked about, I'm
Yeah.
sure,
Every single day.
every time he talks to the media. But he mentioned something almost like he pointed it out, but it was almost in passing and almost like, I'm gonna say this, and I wanna see how many people's paying attention. Because he was asked about the quarterbacks, and he talked about how Ty did such a good job in doing the things that you have to get right.
Hmm.
Like, and I'm kinda paraphrasing here, I'm not gonna it's not a quote for quote of what he said, but more or less he was saying Ty was basically 100% on doing the things it takes to move the chains.
Hmm.
If the play only allows you to pick up 5 yards, it's picking up those 5 yards.
Right.
Taking what the defense gives you, and like I said, I'm paraphrasing here, but if you go back and listen to him, he just talks about how Ty took care of the little things, and he talked about how important it is and how much it makes life easier for a play caller if you can stay ahead of the chains. And that is something Alabama has struggled with over the past 2 seasons. It's not all on Jalen either. That's
No.
the offensive line struggled. We haven't been as good as we need to be at running back. I think we had some struggles at wide receiver as well. But And then obviously Jalen had his own set of issues as well. So all those problems mixed together put Alabama in a lot of situations where it's, 2nd and 9 and then 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. But if you can change that to being 2nd and 7 and then 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3, that makes all the difference in the world. It gives your play caller a greater opportunity to call something that's more likely to pick up a first down or give you a better opportunity to pick up a first down. So it just changes everything. And I just thought it was interesting how Coach DeBoer was very complimentary of Ty and how well he executed that today, just being day one. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but I just really thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Stacey. I'm really high on Ty, and me and you have been on record saying we feel like he's going to be the guy. And yeah, if he's doing the little things right, that's all that really matters. Like you said, you got to have a quarterback who, I hate using the term game manager, but that's what we need in a quarterback. He needs to, you know, make sure the plays are there and don't force them. And I really feel like Jalen had issues with that last year, forcing the play when there was something in front of him to take. So hopefully Ty can keep that mentality going and just taking, like you said, what the defense gives him, and Alabama will be all right.
Yeah, hey, I actually found a transcript real quick. I want to read a little bit of a quote of what Coach DeBoer said. And he said, I think Ty, we talked about all the quarterbacks, but he says on the gimme throws, the ones that should be 100%, making those plays all the time. And I really felt like he did that. And he went on to say those gimmies add up over time.
You're
Gimmies are
right.
5-yard gains that turn into 15 and 20, and then explosive plays that keep the chains moving. So
Hmm.
he just talked about how Ty was taking care of business and doing what
Hmm.
he's supposed to do and just executing what the play is and keeping the offense ahead of the chains. And that is huge. Having that kind of consistency can make a world of difference for your offense.
Absolutely, man. I well said by coach, and well played by Ty today for sure.
Yeah, and before we kind of wrap it up, Jake, I do want to go over some of the observations that media members had from day one. My buddy Clint Lamb over at Cover Crimson was able to attend practice, and I say practice. They're able to see, I think, 3 segments, which lasts about 5 minutes apiece. So he's there for 15 minutes, and I just wanted to kind of touch on some of the things he brought up. He talked about how physically impressive freshman tight end Marshall Pritchett looked, a
Yeah.
guy who played his senior year of high school at around 215 pounds. He's all the way up to 248,
Whew.
and how impressive he's already carrying that weight. I'm not sure where Pritchett fits in with guys like Danny Lewis and Josh Cuevas, and they bring in a Brody Dalton and Jake Samarco. So I'm not sure where Pritchett fits in here in 2025. But the fact that he's already put on that much weight is impressive, and to add on to the fact that he's carrying it in an impressive way is nice to hear.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You need some backups at tight end, and just in case, Waivers and somebody goes down. Danny Lewis. Danny Lewis has had some issues with injury as well, so having a guy step up. But yeah, Pritchett, I've heard good things about him, and like you said, he's got the weight on, and he's starting to look like a physical specimen out there at tight end.
Yeah, a couple guys. I want to mention a couple other guys he said that kind of looked impressive to him. Kelby Collins, of course, the transfer from Florida. He was 285 pounds during spring practice. He's dropped down to 275, and Clint pointed out how that he looked really impressive as well, and looked like he leaned up really nicely, losing those 10 pounds, and should be a really good quality bandit for Alabama behind LT Overton. He talked about QB Reese, a redshirt freshman inside linebacker who, he's going to be behind guys like Justin Jefferson, Deontay Lawson, Nikai Hill Green. But Alabama's going to need that fourth linebacker to step up, get reps, become a player, looking ahead to 2026. And QB Reese could be that guy. He just talked about how, maybe he's not the most gifted player out there, but he's a smooth mover. He's physical. And he has his stuff together there at the linebacker position. So QB Reese, and I think that's a guy that you kind of talked about, Jake, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about our defensive depth chart as a name to watch out for this fall.
Yeah, QB Reese, he's somebody I got my eyes on as well. He could play a viable role, potentially this year because we know both Lawson and Jefferson have had injury issues. So, like you said, having that fourth linebacker is going to play huge. God forbid injuries happen. We don't want that to happen, but it's always good to have depth behind there. And even if he's a true freshman, he should see some reps potentially this year. And like you said, set him up well for the 2026 season.
Yeah, and one other thing, Jake, I thought it was pretty crazy that Deontay Lawson, coming off a late season knee injury, was
Mhm.
out there in a white jersey instead of a black non
Yeah.
contact jersey. Now he did have that huge knee brace on his knee, but
Hmm.
he looked good, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he was moving around well from the little bit of footage that I've seen of him, and that's really impressive, man.
Yeah.
The way that these athletes are able to recover nowadays is just incredible. I mean, you go back. I mean, it's been a long. I've been out of school basically 20 years now, almost, and
Mhm. Yeah.
so 17 years. So, but 17 years ago, Jake, you have a knee injury. It's a long, at least a whole 12 months
Right.
before you're ready to play again. And here we are. I think that was a November injury, and here he is, probably going to play in Week 1 against Florida State. That's just incredible, Jake. And he looks real lean. He played around 239, 240 last year. I think they list him at 228 right now, and you can tell he's lighter, but he doesn't look too light. He still looks
Right.
like a physically impressive kid. So just the fact that Lawson's out there participating right now is impressive. And man, how great would it be if Alabama could have the trio of Lawson, Jefferson, and Nikai Hill Green to start the season, and just really to kind of get a feel of how you're going to play those guys and rotate those guys in and out of the defense. So Deontay Lawson, kind of being on track to play Week 1 is huge for this defense.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. And like I had mentioned before, he was like the signal caller for the defense last year. So getting that back is really going to help because when a guy like that goes down, the next guy has to step up. You know, the coordinates can change and the I guess the timing can be different
Yeah, sure.
from Womack on the sideline to the new guy, but it seemed like Lawson and Womack was on par each and every time he caught an audible. Offense caught an audible, Womack caught it in. Lawson got everybody in position, and then the play was ran. So that's going to be huge moving forward this year for sure. Getting that guy back for the defense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jake, is there anything else that you think we need to touch on before we wrap up our day one reaction show?
Nah, nothing really stands out. It's just like you said, just day one. So we're going to learn a lot more as the weeks progress, leading up to week one. We still got several shows we got to get out of the way before week one. I think we got to do our defensive depth. We did a defensive depth
Yeah,
chart, but looking, bold predictions. We got a few other things to look at. And one thing I want to mention, you talked about. Dewberry and Vandermark, whichever one of those guys doesn't win out, having a 6-man like that
absolutely.
is going to be huge. So, whichever one doesn't win that job, he's still probably going to see some plays because it seems like linemen's helmets get knocked off all the time, and now they got to come off for at least one play. So, having somebody that can step in immediately will be huge there as well.
Absolutely. That's a great point. And having, like you said, having that sixth guy is critical. And speaking of the offensive line, one other thing I want to add, uh, it was mentioned that the second offensive line, the left tackle was Jackson Lloyd, and the right tackle was Michael Carroll. So bookend
Ooh,
freshmen
true.
right now are practicing as your second team on your second team offensive line. So I'm going to be anxious to see kind of how that who that third tackle option is for
Mhm.
Alabama because I'm confident. Obviously, we're confident Kaden Proctor is going to be left tackle. I mean, I'm really confident that Will Conformer is going to be right tackle. But
Mhm.
who is that third tackle? Is it Olaus Allian, who got some work there
Mhm.
in the spring,
Yeah.
who also can play on the interior? Is it going to be a Jackson Lloyd? Is it going to be a Michael Carroll? Uh, Casey Poe worked as a third team tackle. Arkella Nugent worked as a third team tackle. So kind of who is? I think we know that the sixth guy is going to be either Vandermark or Dewberry, but
Mhm.
who is that third tackle who, might have to come in every once in a while for, like you said, if somebody's helmet comes off,
Yeah.
which happens, it seems like
Oh, it's
every other
crazy.
series.
Yeah.
So, what's funny is I went back and was watching some games. I think it was the Western Kentucky game. It had to have been because if you remember, Kaden Proctor gets injured in the pregame warmup,
Mhm.
so he's not out there. So you're having to play somebody else at left tackle. Um, uh, I think Booker's no Brailsford helmets come off, and anyway, there was I can't remember what happened. Either two helmets came off, or uh, they had subbed somebody out, or something happened. And you look out there, and it's like Wilkin Formby at left tackle,
Mhm.
Gino Vandermark at no
Mm.
Gino Vandermark's at center,
Yeah.
and you have like somebody else is at left guard besides Tyler Booker because maybe his helmet come off or something too. But
Yeah.
you look out there, and there's just like so many different linemen out there that are not starters, and so it can happen. And
Yeah.
we all know how physical it is at the line of scrimmage. So you have to have some depth on the offensive line. So that's definitely a position group that we're going to keep our eye on throughout fall camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And one quick mention about that third tackle, you find that guy, and he's more than likely whoever it's going to be will probably see a lot of playing time next year because I have a feeling Proctor is going to probably be a top 10 pick in next year's
Yeah,
draft.
yeah.
So
And look, there's a lot of Alabama fans who are down on Caden Proctor, and look, I get it. He was a 5-star guy, one of the most highly coveted guys coming out of high school a couple years ago. And has he played like a 5-star? No, probably
not
not.
yet. Mhm.
But and I think I can't remember who said this, but I've always kind of thought it too. I just couldn't think of the way to say it. But think about Caden Proctor's entering year 3. He has not had a spring practice yet
Right. Hmm.
because he missed his spring practice his first year at Alabama. The next year, going into last year, he transferred
Yep.
to Iowa, then come back. So he had no spring practice then. So his true freshman year, he plays without having any kind of practice except for fall, the month before the season starts,
Hmm.
and he wins the left tackle spot at Alabama. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yep.
So he goes through some growing pains because he's inexperienced. He's young. He's still got a
Hmm.
lot of baby fat on him because he hadn't trimmed down yet because he just got on campus and now he's the starter and the
Yeah.
season's here.
Hmm.
So he plays his whole freshman year. He's inexperienced. He's overweight. He's not in great shape, but he does pretty well for a freshman offensive tackle,
Hmm.
especially playing left tackle in the SEC on a team which, by the way, won the conference and played in the college football playoff. That's
Yep.
pretty impressive for a freshman. Then
Hmm.
you fast forward to his sophomore year in 2024. Oh, all right, finally we got a experienced Caden Proctor. Let's see what he looks like. Goes out and gets hurt in the pregame and is injured all year long. He plays the whole year with a hurt shoulder.
Hmm.
As soon as the season's over, he goes and has surgery on it.
Yeah.
So he plays the whole year injured. So he's finally experienced, but now he's injured
Yeah.
and playing hurt all year long in the
Hmm.
most physical conference in college football.
Yep.
So it should be no surprise that we have not seen the best of Caden Proctor yet because we
Right.
haven't seen an experienced or a healthy or an in shape Caden Proctor yet.
Now we got all of that.
So now Alabama has all of that in Caden Proctor. So I think fans should be really excited about
Mhm.
what Proctor could potentially be here in 2025. And there's a reason so many mock drafts in the NFL have him going inside the top 10. In fact, there's several that have him going number 1 overall. So
Yeah.
I don't want fans to have this misconception that Caden Proctor was a bust because I think he's far from a bust.
Hmm.
I think he's going to prove to be an elite offensive tackle this fall, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, me too, Stacy. I'm really high on Kaden Proctor for everything that you mentioned. Growing pains is his freshman year, not knowing the speed of the SEC. Last year he played hurt, but he played really well while hurt. You did
Mhm.
not see a lot of people getting by him, even with a hurt shoulder. So now you've got everything you want in a Kaden Proctor, a healthy Kaden Proctor, a slim down, a fit Kaden Proctor. This dude is about to turn heads, I believe, this year. And I'm bold prediction. I don't think he gets a sack this year.
Love it, love it. That would not surprise me one bit. And look, I'm a weirdo. I go back and watch. I've watched every game from last year probably 2 or 3 times this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I want one thing I want fans to understand is the sacks that were given up, it's not because 90 I would say over 90% of the sacks that were given up were not because the offensive lineman got whooped.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it was a miscommunication along the offensive line.
Right.
There is a difference. So
Mm-hmm.
if they can communicate well, they block.
Yep.
So Alabama has some dudes on that offensive line, and I do think that they have a chance to be really good. And if they're really good, this team's going to be really good.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited.
Me too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to stop there before we just continue to go on for another 30 minutes about
Yeah.
the offensive line
And we could.
and we could, and it
Mm-hmm.
would be a lot of fun. But just wanted to get a show out real quick to talk about day one of fall camp and just how excited we are for the season to finally be here. There's a lot to look forward to. Jake and I are both really excited about what the potential of this team is in 2025. We think this team is setting up to be or to go on a special run this season. So just make sure you follow along with us here at Tide Talk Live because we'll continue with the updates and chatter, and we'll give some bold predictions before the season starts, not only on Alabama, but maybe for the SEC as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake's kind of gave a taste of that a few episodes back. And if you missed that, go back in our catalog and check that out. But please do like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. We would appreciate that. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast as well, powered by the Believe Network. Jake, a lot of fun, a lot to look forward to. Can't wait to get back in here in a few days and talk some more football because it's football season, baby.
Man, I'm so excited. It's the longest off season. It seemed like forever, but it is here. And man, I'm stoked because like I said when we started the show, I really felt this team is destined. If everything pulls together and goes well, they're destined for a national title run for sure.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. We'll see you real soon. Until then, roll tide. Peace.
Roll Tide.